Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Today we are trying to clear some of these shelves. That's right, it's time for an unhaul. Hello everyone, it's Rebecca here and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, how are you doing? I do apologise in advance if you're shaky. I can't quite get you in the tripod properly with the ring light on it, and where you're stood perfectly fine on the tripod, but this floor, it's a bit uneven, just a little bit uneven, so you might shake and wobble, and I do apologise. But today we are doing a massive unhaul. I say massive, I haven't even gone through my shelves yet, so it could be the tiniest unhaul you've ever seen, but I know for a fact there's a few books here that I'm definitely getting rid of, and I thought I would share them all with you. So you'll have seen from my recent video that we went to Edinburgh. I got some books there. We also went on holiday down south towards Portsmouth, stayed 20 minutes outside of Portsmouth, so I went book shopping there and in Brighton and on the Isle of Wight and on the way home in Windsor and Watford. So, you know, shopping happened. It happened. Book shopping happened, and I came back with about 10 books from my holidays alone, just down south, not even including the ones from Edinburgh. So there's a lot of books that I need to make room for, and working it out when we move, I'm probably definitely getting another bookcase because we're not taking one of the shelvings with us, and that's at least a shelf worth of books as it is. So there are things that I am going to have to get rid of to accommodate some of the books that I'm keeping. Not just that, but I've also lost interest in some of these, and some of these are books that I have actually sadly DNF'd. So without further ado, I'm going to pick up the ones that I have already decided are going, and then we'll go through some of my shelves, or I'll go through some of my shelves and come back to you with the results. So first off, we have two special edition books. These are both Illumicrate books, one of which I've read, one of which I've read a chapter of, so if you've seen that try a chapter tag, you'll know what that one will be. But first of all, I'm getting rid of Havenfall by Sarah Holland. I read this one when it came in the Illumicrate box last year. It is a very, very pretty edition, and I'm really gutted that I just didn't enjoy it. It felt a bit meh, and it felt a bit rushed. It's quite a small, like, short book, but it's also, for size comparison, smaller in size, which means that to me, it's lacking so much content and so much opportunity for content, and that's a shame because there was so much opportunity in this one and it just fell apart for me, unfortunately. This one does follow a young girl, I believe she's called Maddie, who has a nana or a family member who owns an inn in this place called Havenfall, and this inn just happens to rest on top of 3 neighbouring realms, and the access to all of these realms is underneath her nan's sort of inn, or pub, basically, B&B essentially. And we follow this young girl. She visits every summer, and there's a boyfriend who's like not a boyfriend but is a boyfriend. There's people from different realms visiting, all this kind of stuff. So much potential for it as well, because there was the threat of the realms opening up, but unfortunately we didn't see enough of that as much as I wanted to, and I'm very, very sad about that. But overall, I gave this one an average 3 stars. It wasn't something to shout home about, and I'm getting rid of it. The next one is This Time It Will Be Different by Misa Segura. I believe it is Segura. I do apologise for absolutely butchering that name. I know I have. But this one, I did pick this one up as part of the Try a Chapter tag that I did a few months ago, where I did a Bookish Box Try a Chapter tag and decided out of all of them, I was definitely getting rid of this one because it was going down a path that I just did not care about at all. It was more contemporary based for me than anything else, and that's not what I signed up to the book boxes for. It was contemporary, but like young adult contemporary, and young adult contemporary for me can just be too dramatic. And I just didn't really follow or get or understand what was happening in terms of me caring about it. So it's going. Next up I have Slate House by David Mitchell. This one I got when I was on holiday. It still has the Euro ticket on the back. It sounded really, really interesting. It's about this little house, this little area that if you go down 2 really bustling sides, like the side street of a really bustling main street, you come across this house, and it's supposed to be like the getaway of dreams or something. But I tried to read it, I just couldn't get into David Mitchell's writing, and I don't think David Mitchell is an author for me, unfortunately, which is a shame because I've been really intrigued by the concept of some of his works. It's just not coming together for me in my brain. Next up is Lifelike by Jay Kristoff. I am only keeping the Aurora cycle by Jay Kristoff because it is written in collaboration with Amy Kaufman, similar to the Illuminate files, except I didn't enjoy the Illuminate files, so that's why I got rid of those ones in a previous unhaul, which we're not here to discuss. The reason I'm getting rid of this one is, for all the premise sounds good, I'm just not feeling very Jay Kristoff-y at the moment. There has been things said about him before in the past which make me very dubious to support. I know that he has come out and apologised, but I haven't really seen what changes he's done as a result of those apologies. I don't know if any changes have been made or come about, and I don't want to support someone that I haven't fully researched into at the moment. So it may be a case that I research into Jay Kristoff a little bit further and decide to keep this, but right now it's a no from me. Not that me getting rid of this book is going to make him cry into his money. Next up we have two DNFs, the first one being Dune by Frank Herbert. If you've watched, I say if you've watched because I vlogged it but I haven't edited the vlog yet, so coming up in a vlog, spoiler alert, I take this one on holiday, and I have very mixed feelings about this because I did get about 300 pages into it, or over 300 pages into it, and well into halfway of the book, and I decided to DNF it. I wasn't connecting with the characters. It felt hard to follow because you do actually follow each character's mindset. So when they're talking, or when there's a lot, because there's a lot of dialogue in this, when there's dialogue you also get the characters' thoughts as they're thinking them. So you kind of already know who the bad guy is and who's double crossing who and why before they've even done the thing that they're doing to double cross the person. Like, that doesn't happen for another 3 or 4 chapters, yet you already know they're going to do it. And it just felt really confusing and really difficult to keep up with for me, because I was in the mindset of, because it's written down that they're doing it, they've already done it. In my head, it's already done, and then it happens again. And I'm like, why is this happening again? This person's already dead. And then you go back and you think, hang on a minute, they're not dead, because that was just the person's thoughts going ahead and confirming that's what they want to do. It's the original sci-fi, which is fair enough, but it just didn't connect with me, unfortunately. And I'm very, very sad about that, because this was a one that's been on my TBR for so long. Next up we have a one that quite a lot of people are probably going to be mad about. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I picked this up for Amy and Sarah's Talk Wordy With Us book club over on Instagram. I'll leave a link to it down below. They're reading Law in September, which I'm more excited about. It's there, I'm more excited about it, but they're reading Law, that's more up my street than this ever was, and I thought I would really, really enjoy it. And I think what I'm coming to learn is multiple POV thrillers are just not for me, because I got over 100 pages into this and nothing had happened for me at that point. Like, there was an inkling of, oh my god, something's happened, and then it just disappeared again. So I don't know who died. I don't know who did it. I don't know how the person died, because at this point they're still freaking alive. Like, in a thriller, for me, within the first like 20 to 30 pages, 50 pages tops, the thrilling aspect, as in the murder's already happened and you're retracing your steps, or you're going into the minds of a detective, or you're retracing the killer or another victim. Like, you know, the murder's already happened and we're working either backwards or working back towards that point, if that makes sense. So the murder happens, we go back to the start to figure out how you get to end game. Literally end game for someone. And for me, this just didn't do anything. I got over 110 pages into it and I was just bored. Like, I don't care about somebody being, you know, up themselves a lot, because a lot of these characters are up themselves. They're quite pretentious, and the one person that I did really enjoy the perspective of, we weren't getting enough from, and that was Hannah, who is a +1. She's not even meant to be there. She's only there because her husband is the bride's best friend and probably secretly shagging her. Let's be real. So yeah, for me, DNF, it's going. I'm sorry Sarah, I'm sorry Amy, and I'm sorry everybody who loves The Guest List, but it's gone. So after that ramble, but what is that? I'm going to rummage through my shelves, see what else I can find to get rid of, and come back to you in a little bit.
Give me just a minute, we can talk it out. Draw a line in the sand, then we'll cross it now. I know my time is up, yeah, I've been too loud. Oh yeah, you know I wanna mind, then just go. If you said that you need your space, over and above, you kept looking for my love, but you found that you're on my face. Don't tell me it's over, no, yeah, we can try to make it work.
Okay, so I'm back, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 more books to get rid of, so effectively a full shelf, and it's still not enough. So let's just get into them. First off, we have The Truth About Keeping Secrets by Savannah Brown. This one, it's a YA thriller, and I was very intrigued when I seen this on a secondhand Facebook group, and just, I don't think I'm ever going to get around to it, to be honest, and I need to start taking that mentality with a lot of my books. I'm not bothered. The same goes for The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness, and this is not going to be the only time this guy is going to feature on this video, unfortunately. This one follows a guy who, the world is going to end, and this guy just wants to graduate high school. So there's a world of zombies, post-apocalyptic nothingness, and he just wants to graduate, which is really sweet, but also I don't care. At the time, you know, like, when I bought this, I would have probably eaten it up if I'd actually picked it up at the right time. That right time's been and gone. That ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. That was very Sean Connery. That ship has sailed. Right, anyway, moving on. That ship has now sailed, and I don't see myself reading this at all. Next up we have The Alienist by Caleb Carr. This is one of the books that kind of inspired me to want to do an unhaul, along with what Victoria read, doing a massive unhaul. I'll leave hers down below. This one has been staring at me on my shelves, and I'm like, I picked it up because I seen it in Barter Books, and I was like, oh my god, I want to watch the TV show, I want to watch the Netflix adaptation. I'd rather just watch the Netflix adaptation at this point, because I've had this on my shelves for so long. I'm just not bothered. It's going. Next up we have Night by Night by Jack Jordan. I picked this one up because somebody was getting rid of it on Facebook or Instagram, and when I picked it up, I should have just read it as soon as I received it, like I should have done with all of these books, but I didn't, and because of that, my interest in it has dwindled quite a lot, and now I just want to get rid. It starts with, if you're reading this, I'm dead, and I really am quite intrigued, but I think reading the guest list and DNFing the guest list kind of put me off like thrillers for a little bit, which may be influencing some of my decisions, but it's going just because of the fact that I did decide it last time and I forgot about getting rid of it. Next up we have Burn by Patrick Ness. This is a proof edition that I received from somebody getting rid of it. So if anybody wants any of the proof editions that I'm getting rid of and you're in the UK, please just let me know in the comments down below. If they haven't already gone to someone, you'll be up for dibs. That's perfectly fine. Same for any of these books, message me and I'll just DM you a price, we'll agree a price and delivery and whatever, and we'll send them. Anyway, this follows, it's set in the 1950s. Sarah Dewhurst waited with her father in the parking lot of the Chevron gas station for the dragon he'd hired to help on the farm. I mean, I think at the time I literally just wanted it because it was Patrick Ness. Next up we have another thriller, and that's The Crow Girl by Eric Axel Sund. I was toying between this and The Snowman the last time on which one to keep, and I kept this one on the basis that I was going to read it fairly soon after doing the last unhaul. That did not happen, and this is heavy. This is really heavy, so it's took up like quite a chunk on my shelves. Like, I don't know if you can see, but it was like then. It's a 2-book gap. It's a 2-book gap, so it's going. Next up we have Waterstone's Deal. I nearly said Wetherspoon's Deal. A Waterstone's Deal, and that's The Bells by Danielle Clayton. I got this for £4, and I thought this was going to be more of a grown-up kind of selection maybe, but I just haven't got round to it, and I don't see myself getting round to it at all, to be honest. I mean, I wish I did, but right now, the mood that I'm in, I just want the fantasy. Next up we have The Survivors by Kate Fernival. I was in two minds about this last time and decided to keep it. Since then I've kind of worked out that war fiction isn't necessarily my go-to anymore. Like World War II fiction isn't necessarily my go-to anymore, and I'm kind of sad about that because I used to love that growing up. It was something that always intrigued me. I just haven't been able to pick it up and get into it and sit and read it. I think I probably am going to keep a hold of it. It's going on my to get rid of pile, and when I do one more once over of the pile and just double check everything's what I want to get rid of, this will probably end up staying, but at the minute it's going. Next up, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. Now, there was so much hype about this when Illumicrate said they were going to do it. They announced that they were actually going to do this book. They reversed the cover, so instead of it being navy and gold, it's gold and navy. I hate it. That's not the only reason I'm getting rid of the book. I hate it, but then people started reviewing the book, and there's some very questionable terms used in this book that I'm not 100% familiar with. If you want to know more about it, go look it up. I've heard not some great things about this either, and the fact that they're still gonna go and support Naomi Novik after the comments came out that have been made. It's the same with Jay Kristoff, the fact that they're supporting them, I don't know. Yeah, I'm getting rid of this one just because of the comments that the author has made within this book and the overall feedback about this book. It was never something that I was really interested in. It was going to be deemed the new Hogwarts, but not being funny, but that's not going to be it for me. Toodaloo. Okay, I would say we have two left, and then I remembered I had this big pile. So, next up we have Quicksilver, which is bloody huge, and this is by Neil Stevenson, who is a fantasy sci-fi author. This is chunker. This is an ARC copy that I found from 2002 in Barter Books, and I was like, I can't leave an ARC in Barter Books knowingly, so I picked it up and it's just lived on my shelves. It's bloody huge. I can't see myself ever reading it, to be honest. The writing's quite small, and it also has book 3. There's 3 books within this apparently, so don't have time for that. I barely have time for the 1 book that I read per month, let alone 3 books in one. So we then also have The Chain by Adrian Mckinney. This one, I picked this one up in Asda or Tesco or Sainsbury's, one of the UK supermarkets, and I was really hyped for this one. It was the idea that a woman gets a phone call to say her child's been kidnapped, and in order to release her child, she has to kidnap somebody else's child, and then the chain continues, and so on and so forth. But somebody wants to break the chain. Sounds really good. I've had this now for, when did it come out? 2019, I want to say. I've had this since 2019 and I still haven't read it. It's probably never going to get read, and I've just choked on some dust from it living on my shelves for that long. So go away. Okay, so we have a couple of series, but first up we have a standalone that I want to talk about, and that is The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. I was in 2 minds about getting rid of this one last time, and I've decided after last time, because I kept it and haven't read it, it's going. It's just to kind of hold myself a little bit more accountable than anything else, because of the fact that there is so much here that I want to read, and these taking up spaces means that the other books lose priority because they don't have a little home on the shelf. So I'm getting rid of this one. It also has some paper inside it, I don't know why. I'm getting rid of this one. Yeah. Next up we have 2 in a fantasy series that I was contemplating really like just binging because it's quite a big series. But we have The Novice and The High Lord. These are book 2 and 3 in the Trudi Canavan Black Magician series. I have the Black Magician, I'm sure I do. I don't think I do. I think I got rid of the Black Magician. Why would I keep book 2 and 3 when I've got rid of book 1? Why would I do that? There you go, that answers itself. That's why it's leaving. Because I have books 2 and 3 and not book 1. Because I got rid of it a while ago. Probably before I got those books. Anyway, on to the last series that I'm getting rid of. This series has been adapted, or is being adapted into another series or a film. I believe it's got Tom Holland in, but this is the Chaos Walking trilogy. Got these second hand and thought I would just binge the series, hence buying the series, but they've sat on my shelves since before I moved out of my mum and dad's, and I moved out of my mum and dad's coming up 5 years ago now. They've just sat gathering dust, making a little home for themselves on my shelves. Haven't read them at all, and I really need to just get rid of them because they're just taking up space, and I just keep forgetting I even own these, and that is worrying because I just clearly don't care enough about them, so I'm getting rid of them. And there we have it. There's a little bit of a gap there that I'm going to fill with book series, I think. But that's it for the unhaul. If you see anything that I've mentioned and you're in the UK and you would like it, let me know in the comments down below. Pop me a message on Instagram or Twitter. They're all down below for you to go and have a look-sees at. But thank you all so much for watching. If you've made it this long, leave a little sad emoji in the comments because it's always nasty to say bye-bye to books, but I need to for the sake of making space and moving house. So there's that too. So I didn't upload this video pretty sharpish, hadn't I? So without further ado, that is the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you open that description box, you'll find a link to all of my social media platforms. Come say hi on those, particularly on Instagram at the moment. I'm very happy with how I feel about my feed on Instagram, and I've got a little bit of a rhythm going, so if you do want to check out what I post on there, the link is down below. Thank you all again so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I know my subscriber count has been growing ever so slightly and steadily over time, and I don't say it enough, but I really appreciate every single one of you sticking around. If you've made it this far and you're not subscribed already, go click it. You don't know what you're missing. To be honest, it's not a lot because of how often I do not post, but you don't know what you're missing. So thank you all so much for watching, and I shall see you all soon with another video. Bye!